This is MJ. Welcome to another Ridercast episode 8. This time I'm going to be talking about Kamen Rider Den-O, one of the most popular riders ever. So first, I'm going to start out with the meta information. Kamen Rider Den-O aired from January 28th, 2007 to January 20th, 2008. The first two episodes are entitled I've Arrived and Ride on Time, which might be a pun? I'm not sure. Anyway, they're written by Yasuko Kobayashi of Ryuki fame and others, and O's really. And then they were both directed by Ryuta Tasaki. I'm going to go ahead and mention the suit actors up here in the meta because I think I've been doing it at the end of that. Doesn't really make sense. So Kamen Rider Den-O was portrayed by Seiji Takawa. However, Momotaros, the Imagin, the red Imagin that we meet in this episode, has a separate suit actor who is Motokuni Nakagawa, and there's even a voice actor for Momotaros, which that matters. Where did I put their name? Hold on, I gotta find them real quick. Okay, found it. Momotaros, the seiyuu or voice actor, is Toshihiko Seki. Or Seki Toshihiko. Anyway, I wanted to include them as well in this bit because that's part of how the character of Momotaros was brought to life by the suit actor inside and the separate voice actor. And of course, Momotaros also lives and breathes in Ryotaro, and I wanted to make a special mention here of the fact that the actor for Ryotaro is Takeru Sato, who has gone on to do a lot, but famously, to me anyway, he's portrayed Kenshin Himura in the live-action Rurouni Kenshin movies, which I'm recording this April 24th, 2019, and I think they just recently announced that they're going to do like a final arc of Kenshin or a final Kenshin movie with him, which sounds pretty exciting. I've seen the other two or three. I think I've seen all three of them actually. Yeah, there's the trilogy. I've seen all three. But there's more meta information to cover, so I will continue. The OP, the lyricist for it is Fujibayashi Shoko, like usual. Composer is Shuhei Naruse, who I think did previous work on here. Arranger was also same guy, or same person. And they've got this, there's a Writer Chips version, there's a TV show version, which I guess is owned by different people, but the Writer Chips group did the music for it, I guess. It's a little complicated because the way they I think it's the same groups that they keep using, but they change their names every season for a couple of years in when they were doing this. Anyway, the song is called Climax Jump, and I really, really, really like it. It's a lot of fun, very energetic, very peppy. So good stuff, good stuff. All right, so now I want to go ahead and move on to the premise of Kamen Rider Den-O. Imagin are invading the past to try to change the flow of time. Den-O must stop them. Hana, a mysterious young woman who rides on the DenLiner, a train that travels through time, pulls hard luck case Ryotaro into the conflict when she discovers that he can become Den-O because he is a Singularity Point. Whatever that means. Moving on to the cast, I've got it broken down into primary, Ryotaro, Hana, and Momotaro, or Momotaros. Support, Airi, Naomi, Owner, and Ozaki and the Piners, and other than that, there would be the thugs and just background characters, so I won't go any deeper than that. Nogami Ryotaro has the worst luck ever and is a pushover who frequently is bullied and harassed. He also is Kamen Rider Den-O. Hana tells Ryotaro that he is a Singularity Point, someone who can become Den-O. She believes this because he is able to suppress the Imagin possessing him. Hana has been looking for someone to become Den-O. She instructs Ryotaro to use the past to transform to fight the Imagin that has bonded with Tetsuo, the thug who beat him earlier. After he and Momotaros fight as Den-O and seemingly defeat the Bat Imagin, Hana invites him onto the DenLiner, telling him that he must help her fight the invaders from the future who are intent on disrupting the flow of time. Hana seems interesting. I wonder, what's she doing on the DenLiner? I don't know, what purpose does she have? It's funny, she refers to the past as hers at one point in the show, but is it just hers to give to someone else? If it's hers, why isn't she using it? There's lots of questions that are sparked by that, but overall I like her character. She's tough, she's no nonsense. she is willing to put herself in danger to do what she thinks is right, or at least, see her goals are met, and it's admirable. So Momotaro is the Imagin possessing Ryotaro. I don't know why he doesn't have a name, or anyway, whatever. They talk about the details of how he looks the way he looks later, but it's just kind of funny and, I don't know, kind of convenient. But he's a braggart. He's a thug. He likes to fight. Just because he likes to fight bad people doesn't mean that he's good necessarily. So it'll be interesting to see how he turns out. And he's very much the opposite of Ryotaro in a lot of ways, because he doesn't take guff from anyone, whereas Ryutaro's gotten to the point where he has a name tag attached to his wallet because people will steal it from him and then toss it, and he wants the wallet itself returned to him if possible. So whereas Momotaro is confident and strong and, fights back, and yeah, he's got superhuman strength or whatever, but there's also the attitude and the mindset. Couldn't be farther apart between the two guys. The chemistry and relationship between Hana and Ryotaro is interesting. She needs him because he can become Den-O. He doesn't seem to mind that he can be Den-O. Therefore, he's willing to stick around her. She initially wants him to hand over the pass right away, but he wants to instead do the right thing. He's biking away from her, saying, like, no, I'm going to take this pass, turn it into the police, and you can go there and recover it yourself if it's, truly yours. So he's kind of trying to do the right thing, narrowly focused on, what he can perceive and, the world as he understands it, whereas, she sees a bigger picture, and I don't know, she's acting that way. And I think that's an interesting dynamic. It'll be interesting to see, like, gosh, he says something like he thinks this is something he can keep doing, and she gladly accepts that because she needs the help. And it's kind of interesting. And I wonder if she was expecting whoever Den-O was going to be somebody very different from this guy, because he's just kind of there in some ways. The relationship and the chemistry between Momotaro and Hana is pretty funny. I don't know that it's gotten to... Well, I don't think it's affectionate yet. I think it is hostile in the beginning, at least. But it's kind of funny. She mentioned something about these rules that I think I'll go over later, that the Imagin have no power as long as they don't form a contract with somebody. So she's not intimidated by him. Like, he should be this great threat, but he's not, because Momotaro or Ryotaro is not going to make a contract with him. So he's kind of like an annoyance and somebody she can bicker with. And it's an interesting relationship. Like, there's almost like a coolness to it, because, I don't know, maybe nothing can ever... I don't know, almost like he's kind of set in his ways and a jerk, and she accepts that, but because he's like defanged, and he can have no lasting effect on her, or so she perceives at this point, she treats him the way she does, which is almost like a brother or friend who's troublesome, or sibling I should say, who you mess around with. So it's an interesting dynamic, funny. Onto the supporting cast, we have Irie. She runs a restaurant cafe and, that serves coffee, and seems to have a dedicated customer base who seem to stick around in part due to her charms. Like, all these guys just think she's really beautiful, and there's one who comes up later who, what was the guy's name? Ozaki. Anyway, he was kind of hitting on this woman, and Rio sees him out in public, and he pretends that he's not hitting on her, but then he says that he's interviewing her, so I'm assuming he's a reporter or something, but just kind of interesting fun. She takes care of her little brother, and sees that he's well taken care of. She also has like great command over the men around her. Like, they're all awestruck by her beauty and personality, I would assume too, because she seems genuinely like a good person. But she doesn't seem to mind it. It's kind of funny. There's this whole thing about power dynamics and stuff, and like, these men are there, because they want something from her, they want to date her potentially or whatever, and she's just like, whatever, like, I'm not going to go out with any of you, but you can keep giving me your money, and I will be a nice congenial host here. And I know some people would see that as like an oppressor relationship, but she has power in that relationship too, and she's wielding it, and it's really cool to see how she's doing that. And I wonder if the fact that Yasuko Kobayashi is a woman, that she was able to bring that insight into this character, because sometimes people have trouble writing people who aren't like them And I'm just thinking about like people who don't have kids writing, child characters and how off they come sometimes. But Kobayashi did good with her. I like Airi. And then as far as Ozaki's concerned, just kind of interesting guy, and it's just a funny thing that there's this, bunch of guys, this gaggle of guys hanging around her at a restaurant, and they seem to have an association with Ryotaro that I think will develop later, and I'm going to kind of speculate about it towards the end, but I'll leave it for now. So I do not have enough data to form an opinion on Naomi or Owner, which I know is his name because I've seen other Den-O stuff. They don't mention his name at all, or his title, whatever. But, Naomi was serving the coffee, and she's like the crew member of the DenLiner, possibly the sole crew member of the DenLiner. I mean, her manner of dress is very weird. The whole DenLiner thing concept is weird. And, like, who are these people? Are they humans? Hana seems way more human than her, than Naomi and Owner, but I don't know what their deal is. Is Naomi her husband and son's dead, so she's now trying to return to her land? I doubt that. That's a pretty deep cut. If you get that one, drop me a message in the comments, either on YouTube or on the blog mjmunoz.com. So anyway, but yeah, I really don't have much to say about them. They look interesting. They've got an interesting aesthetic. It kind of tells a story, and I'm curious to know what that story is. So I mean, that's a good job there. Speaking of aesthetics, I wanted to go ahead and start talking about the design of this here show. So, the Imagin, I would say they're natural, mystical, and ancient feeling, whereas Den-O feels very modern, slick, and a little bit sterile. They don't really... I can't see if there's that, classic Kamen Rider concept of a common bond being shared between the two of them. But it doesn't really feel like it just at this point just yet, other than like the whole time travel thing being, a common link between them. But I can't really come up with anything else. I suppose this is as good a place as any to talk about the design. If you're looking at the video version, you can see the Bat and Momotaro, so I'm going to be showing them while I'm talking about these rules the Imagin have. The reason I'm putting them here is because the design is spelled out, or the rules for them are spelled out, and I think it's very important to the way the show works, and I think it's part of the design, even though it's like a silent part of the design. So here we go. The look of the Imagin is derived from their host. They're like these dust forms, and then they touch the host, or the person who they bond or synchronize with, and a look for them derives from that person's mind. Apparently they take past time from the person they possess and grant them one wish in exchange. So in this instance, Tetsuo wanted this keychain that was significant to him. Once it was finally brought to him, he was able to be opened up. Well, yeah, I'll get back to that. So anyway, they can't do anything apparently if the host doesn't tell them a wish. So that's what Hana says. So Ryotaro refuses to tell Momotaro a wish of his. And then, like, when they grant the wish, they can travel to a person's strongest memory in the hopes of changing their past to change the present and future. And they've traveled from the future to the year 2007, which is when Den-O takes place. And from there, from 2007, they're using that as like a launching point to do whatever they're doing, which is going back to the past and trying to change it to alter the future for some reason. And just like there are rules for the Imagin, there are interesting rules for Den-O, and I feel like they kind of go along with this look. And again, if you're looking at the video version, you get to see, but I already said it feels modern and slick and kind of sterile. But I'll go ahead and read off the like natural flow of the Den-O tech, because I think that's definitely part of the design. And I wonder, like, did Kobayashi work with Bandai on this, or like, did they just show her the stuff and then she decided, oh, I'll just do it like this and make it, work more easily. So this is it. It feels very intuitive, and I want to say tactile, but I don't know why that word's sticking in my mind. But anyway, so he pulls out the pass, the belt materializes. He scans the pass, it activates the transformation. Pressing a colored button like the red one summons Momotaro's or another Imagin, I would guess. The belt already has pieces on the sides that can be assembled into sword form sword. I would guess other weapons too in the future. Scanning the pass again can activate a finishing move. The bike in the engine car, or the front car of the DenLiner, propels the DenLiner. I guess most of the time it's stored in there and it's propelling it wherever they want it to go, but he can jump in there, and like Hana can scan or put a blank ticket next to the person's head, the host's head, or the possessed person's head, the Tetsu in this instance, and then get a memory of sense what the strongest memory is, and it imprints on the card, and it shows the Imagin that went back there too. And then Ryotaro can stick it into the pass case or pass carrier, whatever they call it, and he sticks that into the bike, and then that directs the bike where to go in time and space, I guess you could say. And that's all really interesting. Like it's really neat. It works very well and very easily. It all feels very, very natural, and I think the very intuitive system of rules, along with the clearly defined looks. Oh, hey, I didn't notice this bat has a bat wing and an angel wing, sort of like a feathered wing and a leather wing. That's an interesting concept I never noticed before on the giant CGI one. I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping up now, but I kind of wanted to go off of more design stuff. When Den-O broke off the front few cars of the DenLiner, were the weapons based on the dog, monkey, and pheasant from the Momotaro story? A dog barking missiles, a monkey throwing poop, maybe? Poop balls? I don't know. And a pheasant diving and pecking at the out-of-control Imagin? That's what it looks like to me. I heard years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, that Den-O, or Momotaros, is based on the Peach Boy folktale Momotaro. It's kind of similar to Princess Kaguya, where a kid is born out of instead of a bamboo shoot, this peach, this giant peach. Anyway, and he's a good boy, and his parents raise him, and then he kind of becomes a champion and does some heroics. But along the way, he meets a dog, a monkey, and a pheasant. I knew it was a bird of some sort, but I couldn't remember what kind. And they save people and get a treasure, and he brings it home, and his family's happy. And I thought that was kind of a cool thing to share. And I especially am only sharing it because it really sounds like that might be what this is relating to. So I thought that was kind of neat. I was wondering, are all the alternate possessed Ryotaros going to be versions of the guys from Airi's Cafe? Because in the beginning they show people at the cafe, and one of them looks like the leather-jacketed Momotaros, and I don't know. I know there's a flirtatious guy because I've seen other stuff, and I wonder if that's like Ozaki. And just the looks of the guys in the cafe are very distinguished, very prominent, and I just wonder if since those are the male influences that this guy Ryotaro has had so prominently in his life, potentially, are they going to imprint on him, and he's going to kind of express those things through that's a little bit more of a meta narrative type thing, but just kind of interesting. Another thing I noticed is when Momotaro possesses Ryo, he throws off layers of clothing, the scarf, the jacket, whatever, and when Ryotaro first tensions, as Den-O is blank and kind of colorless, and then when he hits the red button to summon Momotaros in sword form, he puts on red plate armor. This red plate armor materializes and goes on top of him. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic that I thought, I don't know, might symbolize something. Oh, also, it's funny when Ryotaro gets possessed by Momotaros and he throws Ozaki, I think that's the guy's name. Anyway, he's all buff and there's muscle padding on his arms, and then when he goes back to being just Ryotaro, the shirt's all baggy on him. But I thought, man, his arms are big. I can't believe that. And then the next scene when he transformed back, I realized, oh, those must have been fake muscles. That's pretty cool. But Tetsuo's story was very affecting. I really felt for the guy. I was happy when Ryotaro made things better for him by letting him visit his mom before she died. But I wonder how many of these small alterations he can make before it causes an issue. Also, the damage gets undone, right? Because the city was totally wrecked before he went into the past, and they don't actually resolve that in the episode, which is interesting. But I was so caught up in the emotional stakes that I did not register it at the time. But now that I'm thinking about it so much to do this, it kind of occurred to me that they did not address that, and that's kind of funny. Hopefully in the show, I'm sure in the third episode we'll see that the city's not wrecked, so we'll know that that it was safe. So I'm very taken with Kamen Rider Den-O. I think it's really good. I haven't felt this excited or the urge to watch more of a show since Hibiki, which, That was, it was Hibiki Kabuto Deno, but Kabuto a little lackluster to me. But this felt really engaging and really interesting, and I definitely want to watch more of it. I love the design work. Like all those rules I lined out too, those are really interesting and neat. And anyway, I'm interested in the show. I think it's pretty cool. But that's all I have to say about Deno. I'll keep these shows coming out more consistently. I paused for a little bit because I was talking about the Netflix Ultraman that started April 1st, and it took me about 3 weeks to get through them. And now I'm back. So you can expect these to be coming out normally. I'm going to have everything. I'm going to have the audio version of this linked at mjmunoz.com. Also, a copy of it in the YouTube description for the video version of the podcast. But both are still going. I changed my site from Luminous Beings to MJ Munoz. Luminous Beings should still redirect there, but it is now mjmunoz.com. It's kind of my author site, and I'm putting all my stuff that I'm doing because I want to direct people who like the things I like and like the things I talk about towards my writing. Which, after I finish the breastfeeding book and then I'll be onto the children's superhero book and then other stuff that'll hopefully interest people who are into tokusatsu. You can also support me, give me a tip or whatever on coffee.com/mjmunoz. Tweet at me rc_moon and visit my site. I appreciate all manner of critique and criticism because I want to be better at this. And if you've been watching all along, tell me. I think this might be the best version of the show I've done so far. Tell me if it is or not.